This is CBC Here and Now.
Not much change in the forecast this week. However, the weather will improve as we head towards the weekend.
While we know this is disappointing to hockey fans, the health and well-being of our employees is our top priority.
For most of the last 6 weeks, there's been major issues at the box office.
And the issues just got bigger. The city bans the Growlers for Mile 1.
The hockey team will play, but not in this province.
A family of new Canadians has called this place home for quite some time, but the mom passed away because of cancer, and now the bank says they have to move out.
We're expecting the insurance company to be able to help, especially since she was a Eastern Health worker as well. I believe it was 2 deductions that she missed, and with that, her policy got canceled.
That story coming up.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Jeremy Eaton in for Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. Those stories in just a few moments. But first, we begin with a COVID update. There's another death to tell you about tonight as the province reports new COVID-19 numbers. Here Now's Peter Cowan is standing by in our newsroom with more. So, Peter, what can you tell us about the person who died?
Well, just the basic details, Carolyn. It's a man who was over 70 who was in the central area. Public Health also said the man had been deemed to have been recovered from COVID, but his death was from lingering complications from the disease. Now, there have been quite a few COVID deaths over the last month. Let's take a look at the numbers. So, as of a month ago, there were just 7 deaths, but more deaths have now been reported in the last month than the first 19 months of the pandemic. We're now at a total of 16 deaths in the province. In the past 2 days, there have been an additional 20 new cases of COVID. 16 of those are in the eastern region, with 3 in central, 1 of those in western. There were 9 recoveries, so we now have 101 active cases. There's just 1 person in hospital right now. The cluster of cases that they're keeping an eye on the Burin Peninsula has grown. It's now at 74 cases. That's an additional 5 since we got an update yesterday from health officials. The minister said today that these sorts of numbers are to be expected.
Number of cases, I think, reflects the increase in testing, and that's a good sign. Public Health are doing what Public Health do. They're contact tracing, advising people to get tested, and containing the situation. This is COVID until we get the youth vaccine, the 5 to 11-year-old one.
The province said today it's ready for whenever Health Canada approves the vaccine for that age group. The FDA in the United States has already done it. The minister said he's hopeful that it might be able to start before Christmas. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Peter Cowan for Here and Now.
Not a whole lot of change in the forecast over the last couple of days, certainly not in the temperatures, that's for sure, for parts of the province. Sitting around 8 degrees today in Bonavista. Again, the hot spot or the warmest temperatures on the southwestern portion of the province. Stephenville hit the 10-degree mark today, and Lab City, you sat around 8 degrees. Quite the difference from this morning. Those temperatures climbed quite a bit today. Sitting under frigid high pressure for most of the northern portion of the province. And then we've got not a whole lot happening across the island. Some cloud cover did roll in this afternoon, and we've got some high cloud moving in as well. And that's thanks to the area of low pressure, the nor'easter tracking south of the maritime provinces right now, prompting some wind warnings as well as some rainfall warnings there. Taking a look at some of the winds, though, gusting upwards of 70-80 kilometers per hour. We're not going to see that for most of the province because it's going to skirt south of us, but it will influence the weather as we head through tomorrow. I'll get into those details when I come back.
The Growlers have been locked out of Mile 1 just 2 months after signing a 3-year lease. The hockey season was just about to start at the soon-to-be Mary Brown Centre. Now new plans and an independent investigation. Here Now's Enrica Wilhelm has the details.
This is what hockey fans in St. John's had been looking forward to. The Newfoundland Growlers returning to the ice on November 5th. Instead, the Growlers are gone.
They're suspended from access to the former Mile 1 Centre. DSC were made aware formally of an investigation late last week. However, yesterday we received more complaints and spoke directly with staff at our facility. The board and council then met together last night and made this decision.
St. John's Mayor Danny Breen says St. John's Sports and Entertainment staff have made workplace complaints against Deacon Sports Entertainment employees, the group that owns the Growlers. The city has hired an independent investigator to look into the situation. Breen wouldn't explain details around the complaints. Deacon Sports Entertainment owner Dean McDonald brought up ticketing issues.
The box office wasn't available to sell tickets, so guess what? They're going to take a lot of public flack on that. That's not a Growler issue. I mean, we finally had to release a press release in the last day or so apologizing that fans haven't been able to get tickets. Is that harassment? My God.
Breen didn't want to comment on the role of fan complaints online or disclose the name of the investigator or the estimated timeline for the investigation.
It's actually preposterous, quite frankly, but it's just all part of the nonsense that we've been living with for 3 years down here. So look, it's like to us, no surprise, no big deal. We'll deal with it. I think everyone in the public sees it for what it is.
The public perception is one thing. It's the duties that we have to carry out for our employees to ensure a respectful workplace. So our employees being able to work and their mental health are our major priority.
McDonald says kicking the Growlers out shortly before their first home game might warrant a lawsuit that could even involve the ECHL as the season gets disrupted.
Obviously, the relationship is done. I don't even think the lease allows them to contemplate doing this without a process. So, it's guilty without due process.
Breen said the investigation is set to start very soon. The future of hockey in the city is uncertain. The Growlers, however, will temporarily play at the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto, home to the Toronto Marlies, with the first home game scheduled for November 5th. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
The Growlers aren't going to play in downtown St. John's this season, but the Rogues will be under a different stadium name, of course. So the transition from Mile 1 into the Mary Brown Centre is underway. Crews could be seen hoisting up the new letters today. Well, the letter B anyways. Now, the name change won't officially come into effect until early next month, in time for the Rogues' home opener on November 27th.
Well, a surprise announcement in the House of Assembly today. The Minister of Immigration, Population Growth and Skills says more than 100 Afghan refugees arrived at St. John's Airport last night. Here now's Mark Quinn was at the House today and joins us live. So, Mark, what more can you tell us?
Well, Carolyn, we don't have any video of the 116 Afghan refugees arriving because it was done secretly and quietly for security reasons. Now, this mission was organized by the federal government, and the group that arrived around 10:30 p.m. last night are Afghan nationals who worked with the Canadian military as interpreters and fixers. Some of them also worked with non-governmental groups in Afghanistan as well. Now, they put their lives at risk to help Canada, and that's why Canada has brought them and their families here, and Canada has also made them all permanent residents.
We're extremely grateful and enthusiastic to be in Newfoundland and Labrador. The word from those that traveled with them and those that greeted them at the airport in Torbay last night was that there was just a magic in the airport, and I think this is going to be a really positive experience not only for them, but for each and every one of us in this province.
Now, these aren't the first Afghan refugees to arrive here in Newfoundland and Labrador, but it is the first large group that has arrived together. And the group includes a lot of young people. Some of them are young enough to be going to school here and will be when they can. And Jerry Burns says he's very hopeful that eventually they'll all stay here in this province.
We've already received in Newfoundland and Labrador 41 Afghan refugees, but they did not come together as a single solitary group. They arrived in small cohorts, small groups, but this is a group of 116 that traveled together not only from the NATO advanced base, but also traveled to Toronto, then traveled directly to St. John's. And so when you have that situation where they've already created a bond with each other, resettlement is made much easier because they've already made a community connection in and amongst themselves. The next step is to create a community connection within Newfoundland and Labrador.
The group that arrived last night is in isolation together right now at an undisclosed location. Some of them still have family members in Afghanistan, so again, their identities can't be revealed. The Association for New Canadians is helping them, and we're told that the ANC will have more to say tomorrow about how the public can help. Live in the newsroom, I'm Mark Quinn for Here and Now.
Something of a difficult story to share with you about a family that's going through some hard times. Jeremy Kakoko joins me now. Jeremy, what's the situation with your house?
So with the house at the moment, we've been asked by the bank to vacate the home. And with that we've been having some challenges because of some missed payments as well that has occurred. And so that's the main reason why they've asked us to vacate the home, because we haven't been able to make the missed payments and stuff like that.
Right. Now there's a reason, a very difficult reason, that you haven't been able to make those payments. Tell me about your mother Clemence and what's happened.
So with my mother, she recently passed away in July, and with that, that's how the whole process of missed payments started occurring, since she wasn't able to work and she was at palliative care and trying to fight cancer and stuff like that. So with that it brought the bank to come to a conclusion that we will have to vacate the home, since the last payment was made back in July, which was when she was back alive. And then with that, and then they asked us to vacate the home, or either that or make a certain amount of payment in order to be able to stay in the home.
So she received a cancer diagnosis at some point in the last year?
So she did have cancer for several years. She's been battling it for several years actually, and the first time when she did have that, she fought it, and we thought that everything was better, but then all of a sudden, after a few months, a couple months, almost a year, it came back, and then from there then it started getting worse slowly.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss. The question though, I guess, is wasn't insurance part of the equation here to sort of take care of you, and because you've got many siblings? Mm-hmm. Was there no insurance for your mom? Well,
we were expecting the insurance company to be able to help, especially since she was a Eastern Health worker as well. But then during that process, we did find out that she missed a payment. I believe it was 2 deductions that she missed. And with that, her policy got canceled. So during that moment, it was when she had cancer. So obviously making payments and working wasn't really something that she could do. And we were trying our best as well, try to, with the home, with the heat and the food as well. So it was quite challenging to even try to make the deduction payments. And then with that way they canceled her life insurance policy.
All right, and with respect to the insurance on the mortgage for the house and all that, there was no insurance at all?
Yeah, so we didn't even know that there was a mortgage protection plan on the home until later on we received a letter from them as well saying that 1 deduction was missed, and that was a deduction in September actually. So then that's how we found out that there was actually a mortgage protection plan included onto the home. So then we made a contact with them, made them aware of the situation, tried to start a claim. But then they said that it wasn't possible for us to actually get anything from the claim because she didn't die of natural causes.
So it sounds to me, Jeremy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me as though you and your family are going to have to leave here.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Well, we honestly, I really don't know. At the moment, we're just trying to fight to be able to stay here still. So if it does come to the bottom line, when the date does come, because we have until November the 24th, until we do have a final decision of if we can even stay here or not. So if by that date we can't stay here, then we will have to vacate, try to find somewhere else to stay.
Mm-hmm. Well, so this, combined with the loss of your mom and all of the complications of this, how difficult has this been on you and your family?
It's been really challenging, so challenging, because even emotionally it's already been challenging enough, because our mother was always also the only parent that we had in our life. So that has already been an emotional roller coaster for us, just without the financial troubles. And once that started coming in as well, that's when things just started getting even way worse, and trying to keep everything together. It's been really challenging for us.
Well, listen, Jeremy, a difficult story, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, there is a community organization helping neighbors in need. You can see the address at the bottom of your screen, and you can check that out.
Sad story. Well, it was a special homecoming for one Labrador boy battling cancer, as friends and family, even strangers, came together to mark his big return.
After being in hospital for almost a year for treatment, 12-year-old Aiden O'Keefe is back home. The CBC's Heidi Adder has that story.
After almost a year of treatment at the Janeway, Aiden O'Keefe is coming home. The young boy has been battling acute lymphoblastic leukemia and just got greenlit to do therapy at home in Happy Valley, Goose Bay.
He's very kind, sweet, smart, and he's just an awesome friend. Yeah, he's a very loyal friend. Everything Logan said and more, honestly. Best friend you could think of.
Aiden's best friends are waiting at his house to surprise him, and that's not the only surprise of the night. Aiden's parents put out a call on social media for people to meet at the arena and take part in a welcome parade. Mandy Chasson and her son don't know Aiden personally, but wanted to take part.
Well, I have a little boy myself, and I can't imagine the things that he's had to deal with and the struggles his family had to face. So I fully support everything, and for bringing Aiden home, I'm going to be here no matter what.
Pulling into town, Aiden is greeted by about 50 people. He even gets a police escort. Meanwhile, neighbors wait outside the O'Keefe's home, anxious for the family to pull up. Aiden's friends are anxious too.
Give him hugs. Give him a hug. You get another one, I'll take your fourth.
There's a lot to catch up on, and now they've got the time to do it. But it's been an overwhelming night.
I was kind of crying in the car a little bit. Thank you for coming out. It means the world.
A night that means a lot to the family, Aiden's mom especially.
Our small town is amazing. It's such a great feeling knowing that all these people care about my son and we're praying for him and supporting us during this whole thing. It's been very emotional. I just like to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for praying for Aiden, donating, sending us just like messages, just thinking about you. Every single message meant the world to us.
Aiden's fight isn't over, but his mom is hopeful for the future. She says it's beautiful that he can now rebuild his endurance at home, surrounded by a community that cares. Heidi Adder, CBC News, Happy Valley, Goose Bay.
31 days of Halloween. It's basically a different makeup look for every day of October.
She's spending between 3 and 7 hours behind her makeup table creating daily Halloween looks.
We'll watch Flat Rock makeup artist Jamie Stem transform into another one of her creatures later in the show.
Well, it's weather time and another crisp fall day in St. John's.
That's
It was
one
nice
word
out
for it.
there. Yeah, chilly, but the wind was nice and calm, and yeah, it's a nice day.
It's always these shoulder seasons where you start to get used to the potential for, you know, some flurries and the colder temperatures, and then once you're right into it, you're good to go. But yeah, pretty chilly this morning. Let's take a look at those numbers across the board. The coldest was in Lab West, down to -8. That's what you woke up to this morning, and those temperatures were pretty chilly in some of the low-lying areas. -3 in Badger, -2 in Terra Nova. 0 is what it's showing here in St. John's, but the actual low for a little bit this morning was -1.1. And that's the coldest temperature that St. John's has recorded since May 24th. So definitely seeing some of that colder air. Temperatures didn't rebound too much today, except up around Labrador, up to 8 degrees, and that's where you're sitting right now. And then those temperatures pretty much across the board this evening are sitting in those single digits, a little bit warmer as you head towards the southwest. Burgeo now sitting at about 8 degrees this evening. And taking a look at those wind chills, a little bit of a wind chill as well, feeling more like -1 in St. John's right now, -2 in Gander, and then up across Labrador sitting somewhere between 0 and 6 is what it's feeling like right now. So not too much, but as we head through the overnight tonight, those wind chill values will certainly drop. Lab City, your temperature's dipping again tonight, so it's going to feel more like -13 when you leave the house tomorrow. And across most of Labrador, in and around the 0 or just a few degrees, feeling a few degrees less than that, but -2 is what the wind chill should be like tomorrow morning as you walk out the door. So another day certainly to bundle up. Taking a look at the satellite and radar, not a whole lot happening radar-wise. There are some drizzle around. It's kind of the same story, not really picking it up. But some of those outer rain bands, or rather outer clouds from that storm to the south is moving in, even seeing some of those showers pop up. And you can see that a little bit closer here if I zoom in, but not really going to see anything from this storm other than the cloud cover, and the model is actually picking that up fairly well. So areas along the southern areas of the island will likely see a few showers tonight in that onshore flow, much of the same as we've been seeing for the past couple of days. That potential for some drizzle, maybe even a few flurries in the mix as well. Nothing but clear skies tonight up across most of Labrador, which is allowing those temperatures to dip, certainly in Lab West, into the -single digits and pretty deep down into the -single digits. Otherwise, along the west coast and parts of the south coast, we'll likely see some clearing as we get into the early morning hours. So temperatures tonight, not anticipating them to drop as much as they did yesterday, and that's because there'll be more cloud cover in play. 1 to 5 degrees as our overnight lows. Those winds generally out of the northeast, somewhere between 20 to as much as 40 kilometers per hour. And there's those cold temperatures I was talking about for Lab West. -9 tonight under light winds and clear skies. Some areas may even see that temperature dip a little bit more than that. A little bit warmer as you head towards the coast, hovering around 0 degrees for Cartwright. So tomorrow, same story, ridge of high pressure to the north. Beautiful afternoon for most of Labrador. Eventually we will see some clearing skies, but there's that cloud cover as that area of low pressure skirts south. So we're going to see that stick around for most of the day tomorrow. And with that onshore flow, the chance of showers as well. Certainly through central. Likely going to see that cloud cover a little bit more widespread through the day tomorrow. Not so much the further south you go, though. Probably a few peaks of sun in the mix as well. And then improving weather as we get into Friday morning. And that's because that area of high pressure is going to sink further south, setting the stage, which looks like an absolutely beautiful weekend as far as that sunshine goes. Temperatures, that's to be debated, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Temperatures tomorrow hovering around 5 degrees, so a degree or 2 cooler than what we're seeing today. Those winds will ramp up again as well, about 30 to 50 kilometers per hour for tomorrow afternoon. As you head towards central, going to keep that chance of showers in. Again, flurry potential in the morning, and then it should follow showers as the day goes on. Some peaks of sun in play for Harbour Breton, 7 degrees. Best chance of seeing that sunshine will be for the west coast, and temperatures a tad warmer, 7 to 9 degrees as your daytime highs. And then some cloud cover keeping that in for the northern peninsula. Once you get into Labrador, an absolutely gorgeous day. Single-digit temperatures through the afternoon, even cracking about 8 degrees for Nain tomorrow under plenty of sunshine. Generally light winds as well. And the weather really will continue for you over the next couple of days thanks to this ridge of high pressure, and even get warmer. I'll have those details, break that down for you when I come back.
A small-scale community composting program has launched in the Georgetown area of St. John's. Participants can avail of compost bins that are set up in the neighborhood, but the program creators hope this is just the beginning, and eventually they'll be able to expand the service to more areas in the city. Project lead Viviana Ramirez Luna explains how it works.
Thanks to funding from MMSB, the City of St. John's, and Food Personnel, we got these 3 nice bins designed for cold weather, rodent-proof, odor-proof, to give neighbors the space, the tools for them to divert their waste, their organics. Corn, cobs, onion, peel, eggshells, coffee grounds. A lot of people want to compost, but they find that it's too much work, or they don't have the space, or overwhelmingly concerned about rodents and others, which is understandable. And because today we know that composting is a key activity to reduce waste and fight climate change. So it is our responsibility as citizens, but it's also responsibility of governments. And so we started the project as a way to provide low risk, low cost infrastructure for waste or for organics diversion. And our goal is to replicate this program across the city. So more people have the opportunity to divert their waste, their organics, neighbors, schools, and also provide businesses with these opportunities. We know the city has piloted before curbside compost organics, but it didn't work. And we know it's gonna take a while. So this is to show that there are other ways to do it. This is an alternative, very viable. Empty the organics, empty their bucket, close it again, and rotate. So we also ask people to do it, but it's okay if they don't. It's quick. We already have about 30 households participating, so that's around 60 people. So it was easy for them just to sign up and start doing it. So each household has a bucket. We provided some of them. Some people already have their own buckets, and they can come anytime. So we have these 3 bins, and each bin has 2 compartments, and we have only 1 open. So all of them are locked, and then people know that the unlocked one is where they can deposit their organics. We have 1 person, Sheldon Holloway. He's been amazing problem solver and keeping an eye on the bins. He adds the brown material, so all the stuff that comes from kitchen, all the kitchen scraps, has to be combined with what we call brown material. And we're telling neighbors, don't worry about it, we will do it for you. And so Sheldon, that's one of the things that he does. And so that keeps the process, the cooking, going free of others. He also makes sure that everything is clean. Here, it's almost ready. It's still cooking, but it's been locked so people don't put any more. What we do with the compost right now, it goes to the community garden and people who want to use it, but the value of compost is agriculture as well. Food security, self-sufficiency, and we want to see how agriculture, larger scale, can benefit from this. These type of bins and program have been successful in other towns in Newfoundland, Labrador, and in other countries and provinces. So why it's not going to happen here? So it's also give us the opportunity to show that this works, that it's for everybody's benefit. So it's what we say, closing the loop. We have collected organics from neighbors close to the location, transform it into this, and then back to the soil in the neighborhood.
If a worker dies on the job and you've done something and you've been found negligent, then you will go to jail.
And that's why Federation of Labor President Mary Shortall wants to see more than just fines.
Jail time for companies found guilty in workplace death cases. More on that next. Last week on Here Now, we were telling you about the court case involving a young man who fell to his death while working at a hotel in downtown St. John's. Well, that court case concluded, and in the end, the people who were held responsible only received fines. And that doesn't sit well with the Newfoundland and Labrador Federation of Labor. And here to talk a little bit more about it is their president, Mary Shortall. Mary, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
So, Mary, when you hear about a court case like happened that came to a close last week, what goes through your mind when these companies only get fined?
It's outrageous, really. I mean, one workplace death is one too many, and this province has had its share of workplace fatalities over the last several years, more than just one. We've had lots of workplace fatalities. And there is provisions under the law, under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, but also under the Criminal Code of Canada to hold employers accountable when this happens. No employer goes to work and says that they're going to do something that is going to result in a worker fatality. We know that. But those accidents happen, and sometimes they happen because the employers have been negligent. And if you violate the Occupational Health and Safety Act, you will be fined, but the fines, as we've seen, especially in this last one, are neither firm enough nor fair enough. You know, $60,000 based on other precedent cases for a young man who was 26 years old who fell to his death with supervisors and employers who have been found negligent and in violation of the act is absolutely unacceptable. Our police force here, the RNC here in St. John's, are trained. Their investigators are trained under those provisions of the criminal code of how to investigate a workplace fatality with that lens on it. When the fines exist solely under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, we've seen in the last 4 or 5 cases where the employers have been found guilty and those fines have been enacted, that the largest was $125,000, and that was the 2 workers who died who worked for Forbes and when they were working on the hydro line. So it's unacceptable. I know in the case of Chris Fifield, his mom had said, you know, all they have to remember his death by is his ashes, and the best that they would hope for is that there would be things put into place to make sure that doesn't happen again.
In your opinion, what do you think should happen in a case like this? Not this particular case, but in a case where an employer is found to be negligent in the death of a worker?
If an employer is responsible, criminally responsible or negligent for a worker's death, then they should go to jail. And the campaign that the labor movement lodged after the West Ray mining disaster, when they were lobbying the federal government to change that legislation, it was under the theme, kill a worker, go to jail. And that, you know, that is not meant to say that all employers are going to act negligently. That doesn't say that at all. What that says to employers is that this is very, very serious. And if you're thinking about ways of changing your workplace or using or not using certain equipment or trying to set up your workplace, then in the back of your mind, it's important that you understand that every single decision you make can affect a worker's life or death on the job. And if a worker dies on the job and you've done something and you've been found negligent, then you will go to jail. Every single workplace death is avoidable. And employers are obliged under the legislation to do whatever they can to make sure that that doesn't happen. And if they don't take those measures, and if they are found criminally negligent by an investigation that happens, then the police have to understand that, prosecutors have to understand it, crown attorneys have to understand it, judges have to understand it, that the penalty has to be sufficient so as to send that message that it won't happen again, to bring some closures to the families of those workers who lost their lives. And a smack on the wrist or a small fine for a big company is not going to do it. It's not acceptable.
Well, now to a workplace safety story that's making international headlines. Police in New Mexico say it's too early to determine whether charges will be laid in the fatal shooting involving actor Alec Baldwin. A crew member was killed and another was wounded on the Rust film set last week in Santa Fe. Eli Glassner has this update.
The investigation continues into the tragic shooting on the movie Rust, a movie where Alec Baldwin was given a pistol he was told was safe. The term is cold. The assistant director called out the term cold gun, handing the revolver to Baldwin, who then shot the cinematographer Helena Hutchins in the chest, also striking the director Joel Souza in the shoulder. Now, the sheriff's office say this is a long investigation and they will be gathering more information about whether criminal negligence charges will be warranted. Part of the investigation will center around the role of the armorer, the weapons expert, and also the assistant director, David Halls, who handed the gun to Baldwin. Gloria Allred is representing Mamie Mitchell, the script supervisor on set, who called 911 after the shooting.
she indicates that in her 40 years, she has never seen an assistant director hand a gun, loaded or not loaded, to an actor. It's just not done.
Alred told CBC News that very least a civil lawsuit is likely because of the many potential violations of safety protocols. At a press conference this morning, the sheriff's office announced they recovered a lead projectile that was fired from the antique Colt revolver, killing the cinematographer, striking her in the chest. The question is how that live round found its way into the pistol and why the police say they found so many live rounds on set. Dave Brown is a firearms safety coordinator in Winnipeg.
There's a lot of steps that take place, and it seems like this production skipped all of them for some reason. Number one rule, never live ammunition on a set. Absolutely not. Never acceptable under any circumstances whatsoever.
Brown also demonstrated the checks he performs every time a gun changes hands, safety measures that are at the center of this deadly incident. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
I was making a film and I didn't have anyone to do the makeup, so I figured it out, and it was a happy accident. It just stuck.
It's spooky season and Jamie's stamp is splashing out.
A different makeup look for every day this month. You're gonna want to stick around to see this one. to all kinds of creatures and movie characters this month. One for every day in October.
Flat Rock makeup artist Jamie Stamp isn't only fine-tuning her skills in the process, but she's also discovering more about herself.
31 days of Halloween. It's basically a different makeup look for every day of October. I think the first look I did was Cruella de Vil.
Cruella.
So I did the old cartoon version and I painted my face to look like her face shape and I had the wig and everything. I've done the other mother from Coraline. That was another 3-hour look. My favorite one has been Dobby. That took me 7 or 8 hours, I think. Okay, let's start this. I'm gonna turn myself into a Demogorgon from Stranger Things. It is probably a monster from your worst nightmares. It has 5, I guess I would call them lips. They come out like this. They're full of teeth, and it's just a gray being with no eyes or anything, just a big, huge mouth. Really, I'm pretty sure their main purpose is just to eat people. My whole life I've made short films. I've always been into writing and directing. That's kind of what I want to do. And my favorite genre is horror, so of course you need blood and stuff for that. A couple years ago, I think like 2017 maybe, I was making a film and I didn't have anyone to do the makeup, so I figured it out. And it was a happy accident, it just stuck. I don't have a reference photo, I'm kind of just working by a little bit by memory, but a little bit by this is how my bones are laid out, so I'm kind of trying to trace in between them. Give the illusion that they're protruding and sunken in more than they actually are. I actually taught myself how to do prosthetics and body painting. YouTube, Google, that was it. I didn't go to school. I mean, I was signed up for school and I didn't complete it because I can't sit down and listen to somebody else talk or read a book to learn. I need to work with my hands. That's how I learn. So I just taught myself. In order to make the prosthetic pieces that I do, I need to make this thing called latex paste. You're gonna mix it up until you get this thick kind of consistency that you can sculpt with your hands. That's actually how I created the Demogorgon mask. Doing makeup has brought my motivation up a lot. On days I feel like a 0 brings me up to a 10, so October has been great for that. Not that long ago, well, it was probably about a year ago now, I got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, so I needed to find a way to cope with that since you can't really take medication specifically for that, and makeup has been that outlet. So I sit down and I spend maybe 3 hours, maybe 7 hours painting my face, and that whole time I'm just relaxed and I'm calm and my mind's not going 1,200 miles a minute. I think about everything. Sometimes stupid stuff, sometimes big revelations about my life, what matters to me, what doesn't matter to me, what I need to cut out of my life, what I can keep into it. I think about everything. I'd really like to be on bigger film sets. I make my own short films now, I work on other short films, but I'd like to be on the big screen working the horror films. I want to be the one in charge of everything, creating the monster, designing it, and then bringing it to life and being like, yeah, okay, so this is the design, this is what we're doing, let's start. That's what I'd like to do. I want to be the boss. I think that's it. This is one that I can't wait to take off, but I still have a lot of videos to shoot. Every makeup I do on my social media, I usually, well, at least for October, post every single day on TikTok. So if you want to go follow me or you want to join a live while I'm painting my face and watch it in real time, you can find me at Geek and Gore on every platform.
Wow.
That was neat. That's amazing.
Was so cool. And she spent 17 hours making that prosthetic. Incredible.
Amazing.
Well, we had some technical issues trying to run this next story last night, so we're going to try this one more time. After all, Jeremy, it is not every day that you have a real-life princess giving up her royal title for love.
Yes, so under law, Princess Meiko of Japan can't remain royal if she marries a commoner. It also didn't help that the Japanese public objected to her choice of husband.
So instead of a big public wedding, there was a quiet private event yesterday and plans for a new life half a world away. Freelance journalist Phoebe Amoroso has this story.
Royal marriages are usually joyous affairs, but Princess Mako and Kei Komuro kept things unusually low-key. They submitted their documents to register their marriage in the morning, and then they simply held a news conference. Princess Mako described Komuro as someone indispensable to her life, and Komuro began his speech by declaring his love for her. Both apologized to those who have been troubled by the couple's marriage, but also expressed their thanks to their supporters. Princess Mako, in particular, expressed her gratitude to those who had not been misled by misinformation. The couple's engagement back in 2017 was initially welcomed by the public, but then details of a financial dispute between Komuro's mother and a former fiancé came to light regarding a debt of around $35,000. Rumors spread, fueled by the Japanese media, and the public largely turned against Komuro, questioning his motives. The scrutiny was said to be so intense that the Imperial Household Agency announced earlier this month that Princess Mako had been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. The couple have been likened to Japan's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, especially as they are now set to leave Japan. Mako is making preparations to move to New York, where Komuro works as a lawyer. Given the opposition to her marriage, she has turned down a one-time payment of $1.3 million that is customarily given to royal females on their exit from the family. Under Japanese law, royal females must give up their royal status when marrying a commoner. However, the family is shrinking, and after Mako's exit, there are just 17 members left. There are growing concerns over its future, given a lack of heirs. Phoebe Amoroso for CBC News, Tokyo.
Definitely sounds like something out of a movie for sure. Now, as far as our weather goes over the next 24 hours, just showing you tomorrow's forecast one more time. Not a whole lot changing. Still looking at that potential for some showers and gray skies for the most part. Maybe even a few flurries in the morning for those areas along the northeast. Those winds will also be northeasterlies, about 30 to 50 kilometers per hour, and plenty of sunshine up across Labrador. Now, the good news is the reason for that's this ridge of high pressure, and as we head through Friday, it's finally going to start to move further south. That should clear out most of the island as we head through the day on Friday. Unfortunately, it does look like the clouds will linger, though, for eastern areas, particularly the Avalon, as we get into the afternoon hours. Now, how quickly this moves in and how quickly we see those clouds clear, hopefully that'll happen before sunset. But if it doesn't, certainly setting the stage for a beautiful Saturday. However, some cloud cover because that ridge of high pressure is moving further south. Looks like it'll start to move in across Labrador through the afternoon on Saturday. And then that ridge of high pressure still very much in place for the island as we get into Sunday. Temperatures on Friday, this is where we're going to sit back up, potentially even into the double digits for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 10 degrees. Similar forecast as far as temperatures go across the island. You're looking at 9 degrees rather in Corner Brook, 11 degrees for Port aux Basques, and then hanging on to those cooler temperatures the further east we go. St. John sitting around 6 degrees on Friday. There's the beautiful temperatures on Saturday. Look at that, back up into the double digits, 11 to 12 degrees. Hanging on to the single digits, though, for St. John's, hovering around 9 degrees. Now, looking at Halloween at this point, looking beautiful. Looks like the rain will hold off as well. Some sunshine and clear skies for your Halloween evening. Temperatures, though, daytime highs anywhere around 8 degrees, lows only around 6, so they're not going to move too much through the day. And then look at Monday, back up into the double digits, it looks like. However, it will come with some rain, and we're looking at that pretty much across the board with a beautiful Halloween night for most, and then Monday into the teens for both central and western Newfoundland. And then as far as Labrador goes, 9 degrees for your Sunday. And then, unfortunately for Lab West, your temperatures are going to dip, and that means all the rain that's going to fall on Monday will change to snow on Monday night. Another shot wanted to share with you, paddling down the Little Codroy River. Heidi shared that photo with us. What a great shot there. Thank you. It is a beauty. If you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, just gorgeous. And I bet a lot of people are happy with that Halloween forecast so far. It is looking quite nice, like nice temperatures. We want it to be kind of crisp, right?
It's going to be warmer than last year. I remember being outside and it was freezing.
I'm sure a lot of the young boys and girls around will be excited that it won't be raining.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Still probably got to wear your winter jacket, though.
Yeah, layer up. Layer up for
always.
sure. Well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.
Good night.